What's up, YouTubers? So it's been a while since I've done a motivational Monday video, and I thought, why not do one now? So that's kind of what I'm going to be getting into. And today's topic is going to be frustration and how to deal with it and why it's important. So let's get into it. So something that none of us like is being frustrated. And when you're trying to learn new skills such as welding, being frustrated is a given. Like, you will be frustrated. Even I have years of experience and thousands of hours of practice, I still get frustrated with stuff from time to time because the nature of the beast. I mean, there's so much that can go wrong. Nobody is so good that nothing, that everything goes right all the time. Something occasionally will go wrong, and that can lead to frustration. But I know that when I was learning how to weld and learn new skills, it was very common for me to get just super frustrated. If you're the kind of person that, I don't want to make it sound negative, but gives up easily, then frustration can really kill your potential future and your success, simply because the moment you get frustrated, you quit, you back out, and then, well, what can you accomplish when you quit? The answer is, well, nothing. So dealing with frustration is part of life, and the better you are at failing at things and not being frustrated, or at least controlling your frustration, the higher your success will be. So to relate it to welding, I have a box here that is just of welding that I've done in like the last month. I mean, I got piles of scrap metal all over that I use for videos, okay? And the reason I bring that up is that I'm an experienced welder. I have a lot of time under my belt, and I still practice. When I was learning how to weld, I did a ton of practice. That's all you do, is stupid things like beads on plate and stuff. And part of that is that when you're new and you're learning, you don't understand how much time it takes to get good. And that can lead to frustration because you feel that something that's so easily done by somebody else, like you watch videos of me and I could be 2 hours of sleep, half drunk and half blind, and probably still lay an okay bead, and then you're trying to do it yourself and you're struggling and you're like, man, I'm smart, I watched all these videos and I still can't get it. And then again, you become frustrated. Well, one of the things to conquering that is that you have to understand that it takes time. You're teaching yourself how to move, how to travel, and you have to train your brain what to do based on what you see. Welding has more in common with learning to play a musical instrument, or say learning to ride a bike, than you would believe. And you have to be reasonable with the time. Some people get it faster than others, sure. I was an exceptionally fast learner. You may not be as fast as me. That doesn't matter. What matters is you put in the time and tell yourself, okay, yeah, this sucks, I'm not doing that good, but I'll pick up where I left off tomorrow, okay, and start over and try and get through it. And if you are stuck on something, like say you just can't get a certain welding process or position, or you're trying to learn a skill like, I don't know, how to run a milling machine, and you just can't get the result you want, stop what you're doing, do some research, talk with some people. When you have more information, start again. One of the things you have to tell yourself is that nobody, including yourself, is born with all the information on how to do something. It's we as guys, and for the few women that watch my channel, you as ladies, we're not born with the ability to know how to do everything. So if you're struggling and things aren't making sense, do research. It's not how do I put it, less manly to not just fail until you succeed. Like, only an idiot fails until they're good at something. I mean, don't get me wrong, I made millions of mistakes, but I made educated mistakes where, okay, I look at what went wrong, did research, figured out what to try, and then did it. If you just sit and keep making the same mistake over and over again and expect different results, then I hate to say it, then that's kind of like what an idiot does. Idiots fail, but they don't change what they're failing at, and they don't do research. Anyone who's good has failed more than they would admit, if that makes sense. Not to beat a dead horse here. So back to what I was saying, you have to have reasonable expectations on the time frame that it's going to take and the amount of effort it's going to take to get good. I will give you a figure, and it may be surprising to you. When I learned to TIG weld, I probably spent over 1,000 hours to get to an acceptable skill level. At this point, I can't even tell you how many hours I have of experience with TIG, and I'm still learning stuff. I'm still not as good as I could be. That is a reasonable amount of time. If you're 10 to 15 hours into learning a welding process and you're like, man, I suck at this, you're not even far enough in to make a determination if you're going to be good or not. Honestly, you need to spend 100, 150 hours under the hood welding or learning some other skill before you can really make a judgment call if it's for you. Think of it more like learning to play an instrument and less like, just something that either you're good or you're not at, and there's no in between. With that said, some people are going to be better at welding than others. Part of it is research. There's no doubt about it. Like when I was in school, I spent more time than probably the whole class combined practicing outside of class and reading about stuff outside of class. That's why I particularly finished like 5 weeks ahead of everyone in a 15-week course, because I was doing so much to better myself outside of there. So that's a huge part of it. However, some people have really good hand-eye coordination, very steady hands. Mine are somewhat steady. The older I get, the worse it is, but very steady hands and just the right mindset to excel fast at welding. Women in particular, the ones that I've taught how to weld, and even just at face value, seem to do exceptionally well. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's eyesight, maybe it's a lack of an ego. I don't know, but women in general tend to be very good welders in my experience. So everybody's different, and just because you're not where you think you should be, you got to put it in perspective. You got to put the time in, and you got to research, and over time you accrue the skill. I wish, like, the purpose of my channel is to teach you guys skills to where you can be as good or better than I am. That's the goal of mine. I wish that I could condense all of that down into a 5-minute lesson and download it on a flash drive to your brain. It's not that easy. I've made 200 and some videos on this channel, and I haven't even calculated the amount of hours of materials, and that's just what I published. I have probably another 50 hours of footage and videos I've never published or will be publishing. You get the idea. And that just scratches the surface of what there is to know about welding, let alone all the other millions of skills in this world that you could learn. So there's no way to condense that amount of knowledge to a smaller amount really than what I have done, and to get it into you faster. Until computers exist in your brain to download stuff, it is what it is. So you have to be reasonable and expect to take a lot of time. And I did a video on it before, but I talked about in that video how to stay motivated. That is a huge factor. You can't give up. I've said this so many times to people, and some people get it, some people don't. But the only true way to fail in life is to absolutely give up. If you never give up, you've honestly never failed. And I know you might not understand it, you might not believe it, and you might think I'm being a philosophical idiot when I say that, but I feel that is true. As long as you're trying, you haven't given up and you haven't failed. Failure exists when you stop, you give up, and then you never try again. So as long as you don't give up, you haven't failed. And it's important to not give up, because no matter where you are in life or how good you are compared to where you want to be, to get where you want to be takes time and effort, or effort over time. So keep doing that and you'll get to where you want to be. With that said, thanks for sticking around. Until next time.